It's TA with MK. It's TA with MK. Gents and ladies, no time to waste. Don't be afraid, it's time to trade. Let's start your brains like high-speed trains. Storm these games like hurricanes. It's time to save this herd this days. Put on your cape and learn the phrase. It's TA with MK. It's TA with MK. I want to welcome you back.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
I want to welcome you back to another episode of TA with MK. My name is MK. I'm feeling a little wacky today, but you know what? You know why?
Why?
Is I have a feeling that something is about to happen with Bitcoin.
Bitches acting like they wanna know me. But they ain't no phony. Try to trick me, it's a warning. Let's go!
Now we're going to discuss some possibilities in today's video, especially one key area of resistance that I think we need to flip and make support. And if we're able to do so, I'm going to show you a couple of the coins that I will be watching over the coming days. If you're liking the content, please remember to like and subscribe, and let's go. To start out today, we're going to hop on the Bitcoin 1 hour chart just to kind of show you what I'm seeing in the short term. Now, we put in a decently strong daily candle close today. The last couple hours, right as the candle was about to close, pumped pretty good. However, we're at an exact level of resistance right now, and that's for two reasons. It's just regular resistance. It was support back here, resistance all through here, here. Recently, it's been resistance. Between about 39.5 and 39.8 is kind of the key level that it's sitting in right now that's resistance. Then it also has the psychological resistance of 40K just overhead. Now from a psychological standpoint and from retail traders, a lot of people that aren't as experienced, they look at that level as if we can get through it and break through it and retest it as support, basically just being above 40K can give us some short-term bullishness from a regular trader's perspective of getting through this key level of resistance, and then from retail traders just saying, hey, Bitcoin's back over 40, woohoo, let's go buy some stuff, right? You start to get a little bit of FOMO. So what I'm looking for right now is we need to break through this with some volume. We need to bullishly retest it because we don't want to be caught in another fake out where it basically breaks through it, comes back down, retests it bearishly, and then we head back down this way. We need to break up, retest, see volume come in right here, and then I would expect us to at least over the next coming hours to a day or two to push at least to 42.6-ish. You can see that this will be key resistance, and then if we could break through that, we may go back up here and test the bigger level of resistance at around 45,000, 46,000. I did want to quickly zoom out as well and show the daily chart just to kind of show you this zone that to me is the bigger zone of resistance. Anytime you have resistance on a daily time frame, that's going to be much more significant than anything you're seeing on smaller time frames, right? And you can go back here to as far back as last year in early January. This was obviously huge resistance right here that shot price action way back down here. Once it broke through, it didn't quite come all the way back down, but it was able to more or less flip that level as support, went on its crazy run, right? Came back down, temporarily held it up for like a few hours, almost a full day, and then it plunged below, and then up here it acted as resistance again, here the top of the zone resistance again, and when it finally broke through here last year in August, it went on another run, and then it was able to flip that key. So you could see just, this area that I have marked in red between about 40,700 and about 42,300 is major resistance. So even if the short term we get a little bullish over the coming hours, this is going to be the bigger key to me. We have been putting in a series of higher lows this whole time, kind of consolidating in this bit of a triangle pattern. It's not perfect, so that's why I'm not going to bother trying to draw it for you. But this is really just consolidation. However, it means that something is going to happen sooner than later, right? Like it's getting about to the 70% full area, which is when you can expect a move. So are we going to break down, bearishly retest and head this way? That's what I had been leaning towards, and I still am. However, if we can do the unthinkable or unspeakable or, pull off a miracle and break up above this zone of resistance and retest it and get some volume to come in so we know it's not a fake out, and we can start heading this way. Well, then we could start seeing, you know, price levels like 45, 46K pretty quick, you know, and we'll just kind of go level by level after that. And then probably the number one biggest chart that I've been watching over the last couple days as I'm trying to determine whether altcoins are going to be worth trading to the upside or obviously to the downside has been this Bitcoin dominance chart. Now, I mention this about every day or every other day on my channel. I do have a video that's linked in the description that goes over Bitcoin dominance in depth, but the easy way to explain it for the most part is if this is going up, that's generally bad for altcoins, and if it's going down, that's good. And it's been consolidating in this rising channel, as I've indicated on here, the red being the top of the channel, the green being the bottom. And this is a bearish pattern. And what I mean by bearish pattern is it has a 68%, so a higher likelihood that it will break to the downside at some point. And if and when it does, that will be good for altcoins. However, sometimes these patterns can also be creating what's kind of called a parabolic curve. And, you know, they will eventually get up. This yellow trend line, if I zoom out, it's more of a daily or, you know, weekly. It's a larger form of resistance. And so really what we're waiting for is if this is going to keep on bouncing around in this rising channel, how's it going to react when it gets to this key level, you know, at around 45%? Is it going to break that and retest and head this way? Because that will spell, you know, definitely some midterm doom for some of the altcoins or the majority of the alt market. But at the same time, we can hope what we could hope for on the hopium side is that eventually the 68% chance of this breaking down finally does play out. We break down, retest, and head this way. Now, there's nothing, you know, crystal ball about this, and I'm not making a prediction of any sort, but this is just what I'm watching because for obvious reasons. If Bitcoin dominance is going up or trending higher, it's just harder to trade altcoins. There's always going to be those few outliers that still outperform, you know, even when Bitcoin's struggling or, you know, if dominance is going up, but it just becomes harder, especially if you're someone that just likes to buy and hold, you know, for a few days, 2 weeks at a time. And so if we could just get this to break down at some point and retest, you know, bearishly and start trending back down this way, we can get some really good altcoin trading in. On the flip side of that, here we have zoomed out now, so you can just kind of see the bigger picture on the daily. Bitcoin dominance has been more or less consolidating in what we would call a descending triangle pattern. It's not perfect, but basically it's a series of high, lower high, you know, down here you had this was basically a double bottom, but then this low was slightly lower. But for the most part, this has just been straight sideways down here, whereas this is putting in lower highs. So it is actually a bearish pattern. Because on this side of things, it's having a hard time putting in higher highs. On this side, you know, obviously it's testing that support over and over. So basically what we're waiting for now is to see how it reacts if it trends up to this top trend line. If it trends up here and gets rejected, well then what we can expect doesn't mean it'll happen, and it may take some time to play out, but we may be able to expect this to retrace all the way back down here and retest down here, right? And this would represent at least a mini altcoin season, whether it was a few days or a week or two. That would be the bullish hopium. On the bearish side would be if this was to break up out of here, and I showed this zoomed in, but now I'm just kind of showing you on the zoomed out chart, and this retested, started heading up this way. Obviously that would be bad. And to wrap things up, we're just going to quickly go over 2 coins I'll be watching if Bitcoin is able to flip, you know, 40K and hold it as support and trend higher. XRP is one that had a pump recently. It had some bullish news come out for its SEC lawsuit stuff it's been dealing with. So that created this this first pump that it had recently. But from just a market structure and price action perspective, it does look like it's trying to reverse its trend. It was in this big falling wedge, right? Here was the last low in the wedge. It broke out, put in this high that was higher than the last high in the wedge. And then now it wicked down just the other day at the Bitcoin pullback, but it looks like it's trying to confirm a higher low, which, as we know, that is the beginning of a trend change. Anytime you can start on lower time frames putting confirmed higher highs and higher lows, that is a trend change. Another thing I'm noticing is it looks like it's creating somewhat of a rounded bottom below this resistance, kind of like what it did back here. A lot of times you get the pump, you know, then you get the sell-off, you get some more consolidation, and then the next move often will be the bigger move. So if Bitcoin can play along, and this is able to, say, break up back above, you know, 85 cents and then flip 80 cents as support, Bitcoin will obviously need to play ball with us, but that would be a good entry right there, and you could ride it up to the 90-cent resistance area, you know, and then of course $1 is going to be major resistance from a previous price action standpoint and psychologically. And the last coin I'm going to go over real quick is EGLD. Now, I've went over this on previous episodes several times, actually. It's just a coin that, as Bitcoin's pulled back, it hasn't really ever lost its structure. It's held up really well. And it has a pattern that's kind of mirroring what it's done in the past. It had this downtrend line, right? It put in this low, a higher low, almost an inverse head and shoulders, really. And then it broke out and went on a pretty good run. Well, it's kind of doing something similar now, not the inverse head and shoulders part, but it's got this low, you know, this is a higher low. It's at this trend line of resistance now. But this level at about $1.60, $1.58, $1.60. What I'd be looking for is for this to break out of this trend line, break above that, flip this key area at $1.60 into support, and then we should see some good upside, at least from that point up to the $1.80 to $1.90 range. 200 will be obviously a round number, so it'll be some psychological resistance. But at that point, we should be able to at least see it go up to the neckline of this. You know, it's not a perfect double bottom, it's actually a higher low, but this is key zone of resistance between about $1, or not $1, sorry, $180 and about $200. I would expect if it breaks out of this trend line, it can flip 160, that we should be able to see it at least trend up to there if Bitcoin cooperates. Thank you for stopping by for another episode of TA with MK. I wanted to let you guys know that I am working tirelessly, or I have been the past few days, making some more TA or technical analysis related videos that I will be posting over the coming days. These are obviously geared towards a lot of the newer people that are watching the channel or just getting into crypto. But as always, we will keep them coming, we'll keep them flowing, we'll keep them going, and hopefully keep you happy. As always, if you're enjoying the content, remember to like and subscribe, and you guys have a beautiful day. It's TA.